Imagine if trillions of dollars were secretly saving America from total collapse. But what if that number was wildly off? That's the bold claim former President Donald Trump dropped on Truth Social, insisting his tariffs have raked in trillions, shielding the nation from destruction. But hold on, is this economic heroism or exaggerated hype? Today on Libo News, we're diving deep into the facts, the figures, and the fallout, unpacking why Trump is pushing this narrative and what it really means for everyday Americans. Stick around as we break it down step by step, because the truth behind these tariffs could reshape how you see trade, taxes, and even your next shopping bill. Let's start with the heart of Trump's statement. On Sunday, he wrote, "Without tariffs and all of the trillions of dollars we have already taken in, our country would be completely destroyed and our military power would be instantly obliterated." It's a dramatic warning, painting tariffs as a financial fortress. Earlier this month, he doubled down, claiming trillions are pouring in without sparking inflation or any downsides, just pure cash for the Treasury. But here's where we pause and dig in. Why does Trump frame it this way? From a political lens, tariffs have been a cornerstone of his America First agenda, appealing to voters frustrated with global trade deals that they feel undercut U.S. jobs. By emphasizing trillions, he's amplifying a sense of victory, positioning himself as the tough negotiator who outsmarted foreign powers. It's a narrative that resonates in Rust Belt states, where manufacturing losses to countries like China have fueled resentment. Psychologically, big numbers like trillions grab headlines and evoke strength, but they also risk oversimplifying complex economics, potentially misleading the public on who's really paying the price. Now let's ground this in reality. The actual revenue from Trump's tariffs so far, according to Treasury Department data, the U.S. has collected about $142 billion in tariff revenue this fiscal year ending in September. Since the tariffs kicked in back in April, they've generated roughly $96 billion. That's a sharp jump. Customs duties hit $28 billion in July, up 273% from the previous year. In June, it was $27 billion. May, $22 billion. April, $16 billion. Before that, figures hovered around $7, minus $8 billion monthly. Why the surge? Tariffs are essentially taxes on imported goods, paid by U.S. importers, companies that bring in everything from steel to electronics. These costs don't stay with the businesses. They're often passed on to consumers through higher prices. Economists argue this creates a ripple effect. Importers absorb some hit to profits, but to stay competitive, they raise retail costs. For instance, a study from the Tax Foundation estimates that these levies could add nearly $1.300 to the average household's expenses in 2025, climbing to $1.700 in 2026. It's not just abstract. Think about your next car part or smartphone. Those price tags might inch up because of it. But Trump isn't talking about what's happened. He's eyeing the future. Some projections align with his trillions talk, but over a decade, not overnight, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent suggested tariffs could bring in $300 billion annually, possibly more by 2026. The Tax Foundation forecasts $2.5 trillion over 10 years, while the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget pegs it at $2.8 trillion added to GDP by 2034 if sustained. Why the discrepancy between now and later? Tariffs take time to scale. They disrupt supply chains, prompting companies to renegotiate or source domestically, which could boost long-term revenue. Proponents say this protects U.S. industries, fostering innovation and jobs. Critics counter that it stifles free trade, potentially slowing economic growth. A neutral view: it's a trade-off. Short-term pain for long-term gain? History shows mixed results. Reagan's tariffs in the 80s helped some sectors but hurt others. Trump's approach echoes protectionism, but in a globalized world, retaliation from trade partners like the EU or China could escalate into tariff wars, harming exports. Adding intrigue, have these tariffs fueled inflation? July's rate dipped to 2.7%, better than expected. But core prices, excluding volatile food and energy, rose 3.1% year over year, tying a yearly high. Economists like J.P. Morgan's Michael Feroli warn of meaningfully larger price hikes ahead. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell noted the economy's solid footing but said tariff effects on inflation are still unfolding. Why might tariffs inflate prices? They increase input costs for manufacturers, who then pass them on. In a supply-constrained market, this amplifies existing pressures from post-pandemic recovery. Yet, Trump insists no inflation link, perhaps to deflect blame amid voter concerns over rising costs. Neutral analysis. Data shows correlation, not always causation. Other factors like energy prices or labor shortages play roles too. If tariffs persist, monitoring CPI trends will be key. Could they push us towards stagflation or prove a temporary blip? The plot thickens with a recent court ruling. Late Friday, the U.S. Court of Appeals deemed Trump's reciprocal tariffs illegal, stating he overstepped authority reserved for Congress. It won't enforce until October 14th, giving time for a Supreme Court appeal. Why this matters? It challenges executive power in trade. Trump used Section 232 and 301 of trade laws for national security and unfair practices claims, but the court saw it as encroaching on legislative turf. Analyzing deeper. This reflects America's checks and balances system. Ensuring no branch dominates, Trump might appeal to rally his base against judicial overreach, framing it as deep state sabotage. Legally, if upheld, it could unwind tariffs, refunding billions and reshaping policy. For consumers, relief from costs. For protected industries, vulnerability. One tangent worth exploring. Trump floated rebate checks from tariff revenue last month. Senator Josh Hawley introduced a bill for at least $600 per eligible adult and child, scaling up if revenues exceed projections, with phase-outs for higher earners. It's unpassed, but why propose it? It's a populist move, redistributing windfall to offset consumer burdens, echoing stimulus checks. Critics call it election year gimmick. Supporters see fair sharing of gains. Neutrally, it's innovative but risky. Funding depends on volatile trade flows. Wrapping this up, Trump's trillion-dollar tariff tale is a mix of fact, forecast, and flair. We've seen real revenue spikes, potential long-term trillions, but also hidden costs to wallets and legal hurdles. Why does he amplify it? To champion economic nationalism, appealing to those feeling left behind by globalization. Yet, the full picture demands nuance. Benefits for some sectors, burdens for others. As appeals loom and elections near, watch how this evolves. What do you think? Economic shield or risky gamble? Drop your thoughts below, subscribe for more unbiased breakdowns, and hit that bell. Thanks for watching Libo News. Stay informed, stay curious,